proceed.
Thank you. So we're here today for an informational session on the parent cabinet. We have applications open right now, and we're excited to welcome new members throughout the next year. We are so grateful for the work that the current parent cabinet members are doing and will continue to do. And we have two parent cabinet members with us today who will share their experiences and their thoughts, and their genuine, right, thoughts and feedback as well, because it's really important to all of you who are considering, right, applying to be a part of the parent cabinet to really know and understand what this work is all about. From the agency perspective, we have really been working hard to elevate the role and the voices of parents and families throughout all the work that we do across the state of Connecticut. And so the parent cabinet is a really, really important part of our structure, of our feedback loop, so that we know and understand what is happening on the ground as well. And so I want to give a shout out to Shanae Russell, who is my wonderful partner at the OEC, along with many others, including Commissioner Bai, who have really led the parent cabinet to get established. So when we talk about the parent cabinet, you know, what is it exactly? It's a parent-led 15-member advisory group to the Office of Early Childhood. We are the state agency primarily responsible for all things prenatal up to age 5, mostly, and we'll get a little bit more into that. But we really have the parent cabinet, or established it, to help us really understand and hear the voices to help make improvements to the lives of children and families across the state, right? To help inform the state systems that are impacting children and families across our state. So how does the parent cabinet help us do that? Or really, how does the parent cabinet lead in this area? We work together on legislation and policies related to young children and families. We really look to the parent cabinet to increase and help increase really authentic partnerships with families. I think as we go through this, you'll hear that the parent cabinet to the Office of Early Childhood is not a rubber stamp. It is not something that we say, thank you for your time, and not use your input and feedback and whatnot. And so really that authentic partnership. Help understand the needs of families from all backgrounds from across the state. And again, elevate voices up to the top levels of state government here, and also down on the ground in communities as well. And so I'm going to hand it off to Shanae Russell now. But just want to end on a note of thank you for being interested in this, and we look forward to partnering with you in the future. Shanae.
All right, thank you, Deputy. And I will just also briefly share before I get to this slide, and you can learn more on the website, but this process of the parent cabinet was actually helped, shaped, and informed by a co-creation process, which started pre-COVID and before I came to the agency, but with Elena and several parent leaders and those involved really deeply in parent leadership work on co-creating what the parent cabinet kind of would look like in that foundational framework, and utilized a lot of existing work that happened in Connecticut, like the 2-gen model, Head Start, and many other great foundational work. So I just want to highlight that this has been informed a lot by those and the parent leaders. So now, next part. So this is kind of just a little bit of a breakdown of kind of what it looks like with the parent cabinet members and their responsibilities. So we currently meet for 2 hours virtually on Zoom. That's something that's been great that's came out of the pandemic, is meeting virtually, because then it works a lot better for family schedules. So it's been great. We've done that at the end of the month. And then we also have subcommittee meetings monthly. We kind of vary in them, but usually it's 1 hour for subcommittee meeting. And then there is 1 hour designated towards community outreach time, going out, sharing about OEC services or getting information from families. And then quarterly, there are virtual meetings with the Children's Collective, which oversees many of the local early childhood collaboratives, who also have parent ambassadors on the local level, which we'll talk about soon, but that important, having that communication in those quarterly meetings. And then there are additional like 12 hours of the year that we kind of have as a flexible bank, which the parents vocalize wanting to have either used for additional community outreach. Because what we find is that though we may have the 6 to 4 hours, the parents do up and beyond what we have as a minimum, and they're very active. So they utilize that. And then there's usually check-ins that we do also with the parents, just to see how they're going and what any support that they may need. And then the most important thing is that we do offer a stipend, because we feel like it is important to compensate parents for their time. That's something that came from the work of through the co-creation. So we do offer a stipend based on the submission. So every month we ask parents to submit their time into an invoice, and then that invoice we send over and they get compensated. And yeah, so it's roughly around 4 to 6 hours a month, but 68 hours a year, which is like the minimum. And another really quick note is just also in that 12 hours, there are advisory meetings that some members serve on, and that time is a part of that as well. And then really great, very exciting is that last legislative session, we were able to actually have the parent cabinet get added into legislative statute. So now it reads, requires OEC to establish a parent cabinet to advise the agency. So we're very excited for that, because it is a permanent part of the agency, which is something really important for the longevity and sustainability. And then along with that, state funds were also added to sustain the work of the parent cabinet as well. Next slide. Yes, so a important piece in this role is that all the parent cabinet members, when they joined on, they were given a state email, as well as there are several forms that they had to fill out, in ethics, confidentiality, all of those forms, but they were given a state email to help them both be in their role to like share out. We gave them business cards. And then we have here on our website, as you can see, we have bios for all of the parent cabinet members, where they're from, and then a map with the region and all the parent cabinet members that serve for those regions. So that way families could be able to find where they are, and then what parent cabinet members serve that region, and reach out to them.
Yeah, Shay, we should mention also providing technology where technology is needed in order to ensure all parent cabinet members can access information in meetings as needed.
Yes, thank you for that. And we do help give like trainings and help like I help walk through with our IT, like how to get onto the state email, how to get onto the computer, all of that, just to help make sure that everyone is able to access and use the tools. And then, so this is around kind of a vision for this systems communication. So you have OEC, which is the state level, over here on the left hand, and all of what under that our agency, and then the parent cabinet as that in between as the advisory, and then you have on the right hand the local groups. And the vision is to have parent cabinet members kind of be that feedback loop between like what's happening on the local end, which I'll highlight the local parent ambassadors that I mentioned, who work directly under the local early childhood collaboratives and are such an important piece to this process in the systems level, because it's really hard on the state level to have that connection without the local knowing what's happening on the ground. And then the parent cabinet members play an important role, both hearing from the local level and then bringing it up to us at the state level in our meetings, bringing it to the deputy commissioner, bringing it to the commissioner by when there are really important issues that have come up that we should be aware of, and then figuring out what solutions may be there to help. And then also they partner a lot with the local parent ambassadors as well.
Right, and the parent cabinet members are dispersed amongst the 6 regions. So we have broken up the state into 6 regions. These are the same regions that DCF uses, for example, and also some of our other work here at the Office of Early Childhood. And so we have representation from the parent cabinet from all regions of the state.
Yeah, and I will add that we have 2 parent cabinet members for each region, except we made this change more recently with all of the parent input, that Region 5 and Region 3, because they are larger regions, that they'll have 3 seats instead of the 2. And we had at large prior. So instead, Region 5 and Region 3 will have 3 seats, and then there'll be 1 at large seat, which based on the data at the end, we'll kind of designate that at large seat wherever there may be gaps amongst the full cabinet. Okay, next slide. Great. So this is a really packed slide, but just to kind of show the impact or the work that the parent cabinet has done since fully active in January 2022. So I kind of have in here around some areas, things that they've given input on, where we've kind of presented or spoken to nationally and locally around the parent cabinet and that co-creation process, and then the different advisory bodies. But I'm going to ask Caitlin, maybe you can start first, and then Josh, but just to share maybe 2 of these things that you've been involved in or you want to highlight and just speak briefly about that.
Sure. So one of the big things I've been involved in is Birth to Three. Um, I was able to give direct feedback as we exited the pandemic to help lead some of their work as a Birth to Three family with a little boy who was in it when I entered the cabinet. I've been able to influence the Birth to Three survey that goes out to parents who are in the program. And that led me into speaking to the Interagency Community Council that oversees all of Birth to Three. And I spoke at the Family Day last year, and then I joined the ICC and now get to help be in the overseeing body for the ICC for the whole state. Some of the other wonderful and exciting things I've gotten to do is speak at the NIAC conference last year on our parent leadership experience in Connecticut. And we also got to help influence the parent survey that goes out from the OEC each year. And it informs the OEC on the true needs of the parents in Connecticut. And that was a wonderful opportunity to influence the questions provided to parents to give feedback, but also to promote the survey. And we ended up with almost twice or a little bit over twice the amount of parent response, with parent cabinet members helping on promoting the survey.
And Caitlin, before you, can you just explain for those that are on that maybe aren't familiar with Birth to Three, how would you describe Birth to Three?
So Birth to Three is a program that supports the development of your child. They use home visits. During the pandemic, it was virtual visits, but now they're back in person full time. They go into the home or the daycare setting or wherever your child may be during the day, and they support your child with working on skills they may need to build. For instance, my son went for speech primarily, so they worked on encouraging speech sounds and showing me through a lot of wonderful parent coaching how to work with him on a daily basis to encourage his speech to come out and how to pronunciate words, but they focus on all areas of development.
Great. Thank you, Caitlin. All right, Josh, you're up.
All right, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. So alongside with Caitlin, I also sit on the Birth to Three Interagency Council, known as the ICC, but I won't, redundant that experience. And so I shared on being able to sit on a advisory for the Care for Kids parent portal, in which that allows for parents who are actually receiving those that actual subsidy and or resource to see from a perspective of a parent what's really happening as a feedback loop. Where are the areas for improvement? Are they missing anything from the Care for Kids perspectives, those that are representing that actual mission, to allow for opportunity for conversation on equity, accessibility, technical infrastructures. So that's something that I continue to sit on, but it's been a great opportunity alongside with the OEC Parent Survey, the co-design as well as the outreach. And so being a part of the cabinet, a lot of it has to do with the feedback loop and the dissemination of information in real time. So what is happening with your communities? How can we bring this back for improvements within the communities alongside being a state, right? So this is not only for just our children in which we see daily, but the children of the state. And so it's important, it's critical, but it's necessary. And so your voices matter. Your level of advocating matters. And so I encourage each and every one of you to take advantage of the opportunities that are offered and given, whether it's professional and or just being able to be a part of that journey. Thank you, Shanae.
Thank you, Josh. And we love having Josh as a father and his perspective that he brings to the group. And yeah, hope to have more. Thank you. All right, so this is just kind of a little snapshot around some of the data from this past year, so 2023, of just where all the parent cabinet members that reported into the form I mentioned earlier, kind of where they were doing any outreach and the amount of activity. So as you can see, they've been very active, doing over 413 activities and 719 hours as some of that, and that's for the whole group. And then outreach or events that across the 28 towns here. So this is just to show that they are very active, even though within like the responsibilities I've shown that that outreach and just the impact that there is with the work that they are doing. So it's a big feat, but yeah. Oh, great. And so this, I don't know, Michaela, if you want to speak to this, but this is a lovely video that we had actually a couple parent cabinet members be a part of, and kind of just to share a little bit around the what it's like in being on the roll, and yeah, to just share a little bit about that. Let me know if you're able to get it to play. Michaela.
Unfortunately,
So the parent cabinet is a symbol of parents coming
We
together
don't see it though.
to discuss the concerns of
unfortunately, I
individuals
think
and
it is
families in
not
the communities
agreeing
to
with
bring
her.
out a feedback loop to the state.
Hold on one second.
So the parent cabinet is a symbol of parents coming together statewide.
Okay, that's fine. We can always come back to it. We'll keep going. All right, so next step. So just a little overview of what's to come. So there is the application period, which Elena mentioned in the beginning. So right now it's active until middle to end of March. We have March 18th right now, but we may, that may change a little. And then once applications close, we have selection committees. Parent cabinet members will sit on selection committees, which will have 6 of them for each of the 6 regions. And then we have some OEC staff that are helping, as well as some other community members, and they will be helping to kind of read all the applications, score them, and kind of go through that whole process. And then we'll have our top 5 that rise from each of those committees for each of those regions that will move on to interviews. And so those members that are selected will be emailed or reach out to set up an interview time in May. And then the one thing we try to do, we did this the first time, is that even if someone isn't selected this go around, that we have so many other opportunities. One of them is the parent ambassadors, which Josh actually was a parent ambassador prior, and we have a few others on the local levels with the local early childhood collaboratives that are such an important piece, and we highly recommend that opportunity, as well as others that we try to like connect. And also, like, it's not the last thing, because this is for 2.5 years. So once we have this group, there'll be another opportunity, you know, to apply again, and maybe you'll make it, or there'll be new people that will have multiple opportunities to be a part of any leadership efforts. So yes, so that's kind of my spiel. I do want to give, well, Elaine, if you have anything, but I wanted to just have Caitlin and Josh just kind of speak about their overall experience, you know, in a few minutes, just and then what it's like with the commitment, because we know that that's been a common question around like, what's the commitment like? What does it entail? So figured they're the best ones to speak about that, and then we can answer any other questions.
Sure. Let me just add in, we say interview process, we really mean a conversation and
Yeah.
dialogue and a discussion with you all, not a high pressure filled interview process. And also, this was Josh and Caitlin are part of the first ever parent cabinet for the OEC. So this is still really new for us. We're going on about 2 years. And terms are 2.5 years. And so I just put that out there as well. We're learning and we're growing all together on this journey together. And so can't thank Caitlin and Josh enough. So would love to hand it over to one of you. Caitlin, you want to go first?
I can go first. So my experience on the parent cabinet started because I have a child that was in birth to 3. He has special needs around speech, and it was a really great experience. So I wanted to be able to raise my voice up as a parent. I had already worked in the early childhood field, and I got to raise other parents' voices, but I never got to be the one that raised mine. So I joined the parent cabinet so that I could also contribute based on my experience in OEC programs, and what I'm seeing on the ground as a parent happening in Connecticut. And the experience has just empowered me so much. I've learned leadership skills. Um, I've learned how to better support parents in my community, and how to connect them to the resources they need, and give the OEC feedback on how to get those resources out to parents who need them the most, and to get them aware of the resources that are available, because the OEC offers so many wonderful supports for families in Connecticut. And it's led to many other opportunities, connecting and speaking at conferences and different training opportunities. And Aline and Shanae have been wonderful supporting us along the way. They hold your hands, they're available working hours to connect in any way. So it's been so great learning about the OEC more and how it truly works, and giving voice to that. One of the most powerful experiences I think I've had is my connection with Birth to 3. And recently, this fall, I got to go to the ECTA meeting, which is a meeting about support to Birth to 3 programming. And we got to talk about the parent survey and how to better disseminate it. And we got to connect with other states all over the country and how their birth to 3 system is working, or whatever they call it in their state, and how they survey parents, and how they get feedback and actually use it. So that was such a powerful experience, getting to travel and learn about state systems, and more about how early intervention really truly works and how feedback is used. So it's been such a powerful experience. And I don't ever want to step off the parent cabinet, but I can't wait to find out some of you wonderful parents who will step in our place.
Wow, how do I come from after that? Oh man, thank you so much, Caitlin, for setting the bar, right? And so a lot, I concur with everything Caitlin has said, but Shanae had made a very good point, or she ushered that point for me, that I was a parent ambassador prior to coming onto the cabinet. And so for me, it was a great stepping stone, because with the as a parent ambassador coming into the parent cabinet role, you learn the bearings of it, right? So you learn how to understand community, what that looks like, how to address things that are happening in real time for feedback, and the presentation of feedback from a personal perspective as well as abroad, like what's happening. I know that one of the topics that are really like trending as we speak now in real time is the kindergarten age change and how that's affected so many families, and how there's so many different conversation, the feedback. And so for us as parent cabinet members, we actually take that with pride and we say, hey, listen, let's bring this back to the parent cabinet during our monthly meetings. And I know that was something I'm not sure if both either Shanae or Elena mentioned, but each month there's a debriefing, right? And so all of the cabinet members come together virtually to discuss what's happening in real time in your communities. What does that look like? What does it sound like? How do we support this data? Like, what are the parents looking for us to respond to them? What are the resolutions they're looking for, action plans, if you will? And so for us as parents, it's empowering, right? It's empowering to have your voice lifted and elevated out, for things that you don't think would be heard, but they truly are heard. And so I'm sure you being here today, you probably have questions like, well, what's the committal? The committal is what you put into it, right? So I know that Shanae put on the slide, there's 4 to 6 hours, but your region may have a little bit more to share. And so there are some guidelines and parameters pertaining to that. And I'm sure Shanae or Elena will, enlighten you on that. But you're able to really talk about what's happening. If it's things with conversations with, the school readiness councils, going to schools, going to your local libraries, seeing what's happening. I visit the pediatricians, not even for my own 5 children, but for just what's in town, what's happening, what are the trends, what are parents saying? What do they want to see from our state for the betterment of our state? So it's really the commitment is truly something that you can do. It doesn't hinder your professional careers and endeavors, whether you're in school. We understand that this cabinet was built upon parents and the strength and the foundation of parents, not taking them away from the responsibility of being a parent, but how do we include them, right? So that's the inclusivity piece. And so for me, I've been able to take this time, this opportunity to grow, to stretch, to learn, and to network, right, with so many other awesome parents. And so when I come into a place where there's parents that may have concerns, they may not live in the region I live in, but I can say, hey, I can connect you to Caitlin, right? And she can help assist you or let you know what's happening in real time. And so that's the important about feedback and why your voice really truly does matter. Don't take no conversation for granted. If I can give you my advice, if you're at McDonald's getting a Happy Meal for one of your children and a parent gives you a conversation, take that, lean on that, use that as that train to say, hey, listen, I'm gonna bring this back. I have some people that I know can help us, right, and get us to the next space. And so, those conversations while you're at the park, while you're grabbing a coffee, while you're at dance practices or soccer or basketball, lean in, hone into those conversations because they matter, right? They matter. No conversation doesn't matter. Every conversation matters, whether it's about, special education, transportation, accessibility. You're talking about resources that are endless throughout the state. They're focused into the 0 to 5 bracket, but still in all, those conversations matter. And so I would encourage and charge each and every one of you, to really take those pieces and those elements and lean in, learn who your state reps are, learn your local reps, learn who the bodies of individuals within Board of Ed, and move on and move forward because your voice matters. And this cabinet is a great opportunity to see that to fruition. Thank you.
Thanks, Josh. And Caitlin, you both do such a wonderful job. I was getting a little slightly emotional when you're talking, Caitlin and Josh, and I'm like, we don't want you to end either. But I just wanted to also reiterate around that one, that we, even though we are a state agency, that I think myself and I always look at myself first as a parent and really try to work with all of them and building those relationships. And I think the way that we do that is different. That we want to ensure that everyone is heard and how we can be better. And I'm always learning and open. And I think as an agency, we're always learning and trying to improve and very open to changes and what needs to happen. So I just wanted to put that out there as far as like our culture and our mission and principles. And yeah. All right.
So, thank you. I know we have, I answered one question in the chat and I know we have one more, so I'll raise that up. But please put more questions in the chat. You're also welcome to come off of mute and ask your question as well. So, Stacy, you asked, can you talk more about what it means to host activities for regional community groups? what does this look like? So I'll start, and then I know Josh and Caitlin, you guys have done some in partnership with others and also by yourself. So yeah, and one part I just want to stress is that Josh and Caitlin have been a part of this now for almost 2 years. And
Well,
so
more than that.
more than that, more than that. So you're hearing where they are now, right? And I just want to bring it back to not everyone, especially new parent cabinet members, as I don't want anybody to be intimidated here. We meet you where you are with your experiences and your knowledge, and we help support you as you move into this role and grow into this role. And so there's no expectation that you need to be like Caitlin and Josh right now. We understand that that might not be the case, and that's great as well. So yeah, I think I just want to say yes to host or to help organize or to be a part of regional convenings or different events that are happening. And also just underscore what Josh was saying, that those one-on-one conversations are starting small are also really important as well. So it's a mix of different ways in which we want to connect with other families out in the community. And so Josh, I know you did a fatherhood convening, and Caitlin, you've done other things. So do you want to talk a little bit about any of the convenings or partners that you work with at the local level for convenings?
I guess I'll go this time, Caitlin. And so thank you so much, Elena. I was able to host a fathers and men's luncheon that was supported by the OEC to promote father engagement for the community, right? To ensure that fathers' voices are elevated and they're important and they're brought to the space. And so there are a lot of concerns that were actually addressed during that actual luncheon, and it was a free luncheon for about 50 fathers in the space here for Region 5. And I was able to take that experience and bring it back to the cabinet, like, hey, fathers are interested, but these are the pointers, these are the things that they're kind of like discouraged by. This is the time of day that they're hosting things and events at the daycares and schools. And so a little bit of that was able to take back and bring that back. But getting to the point of activities, I wanna piggyback off of Elena. Elena and Shanae, they're remarkable. They are truly anchors. And so they really do meet you where you are. In addition to that, they supply you with the materials that you need to be successful. So in addition to the electronic piece of the laptops and the paperwork of that, they send you materials like tablecloths, the books you'll need, the stress balls, the sunglasses, all of the cool swag material that you'll need to be supported and to have. They'll supply you with that. And so it makes it effortless to be able to just go set up things like with this, for myself, I sit on the school readiness council. And so I'm able to say, hey, what's happening, at the local green? Will it be okay if I set up, a table? What's happening at the local elementary schools? Will it be okay if I set up? So I'll have conversations with the parent advocates for the schools here in Naugatuck. They have parent advocates. And so I'll keep that open dialogue and conversation going. In addition to that, just learning some of the daycare individuals like the directors, assistant directors, that helps to give you some insight as well. And so that this way that feedback loop is actually working for you to have an opportunity to set up at an event and or to just attend. Sometimes you don't have to set up, just going, right? Just building that trust factor with other parents and families and guardians and caretakers. Thank you so much, Caitlin.
Yeah, so also I would add that as Josh had mentioned, sometimes it's the little connections. Sometimes 1 month your community piece may be talking to one parent and giving direct feedback, like to Birth to 3 or Care for Kids, something that you experienced a hiccup or something they talked to you about that could improve the program. and you would give the OEC the direct feedback. Other times you may be tabling a big event, and as Josh said, they give you a lot of great swag as well as the printed materials to promote OEC programs and talk about the parent cabinet. But it's really what you make it. I've attended a lot of school readiness meetings because I know that those meetings have the people you want to speak to in the community you're targeting. But those aren't the only people you have to talk to. Parents matter too. So going to events where parents might be at, maybe a yoga class at the library or something like that, and just trying to promote either sharing the resources or speaking to someone. It really is what you make it. And the great thing about Elena and Janae is that they share the contacts you need to find those people if you are new on the parent cabinet. So I remember starting off, I got a whole list of school readiness contacts for my whole region so I could reach out to the right people to start getting connected. So now I know where to go to find that. But in the beginning, they held my hand and made sure I was supported to do the work.
I think that's a great segue into some of the other questions around overlap of timing. So yeah, it's really important and something we've been thinking really hard about because we said, oh my, it would be terrible to lose all 15 members at the same time. Like we can't do that. We've taken so long to, get everybody where we are right now. So we are, and Shanae can speak more to this, but we'll have 2 phases. So we have applications open for 2 kind of points in time. So we will be looking to replace 8 parent cabinet members this July. So for 8 new parent cabinet members to start this July, and then for 7 new parent cabinet members to start in the December, January timeframe. So there's about a 6-month overlap with some current members plus some new members. And then we're also doing some thinking around how can the parent cabinet members that are stepping down support the new parent cabinet members that are coming in. So Caitlin just said, like, I have contacts, right? I know like who to talk to, like sharing that, providing opportunities to share that information with new parent cabinet members as well.
Yeah,
Should
no,
I
I think
anything I missed? Yeah.
I think you covered most of it. Exactly what I was going to share is that there is an overlap. We made sure of that because it's a process to onboard everyone. So we want to make sure that there is some type of transition. So you'll have lovely parent cabinet members who can help kind of fill you in on what they've done, and then you'll have ones that are still beyond to help with the process, and then we'll be there to support as well. So yeah. And that's how it will be continuous. So as we move forward in the years, there will always be some that will transition off first, and then others that will trans off at the again, like 6 months later. So there will always be this continuous overlap with new members as we continuously move on. And
Shanae,
so no, I was just gonna know, so you'll notice on the application, I did put the website in the chat just to make sure everyone has it, and in there there's a link to go to the apply page and also the membership page, which kind of just lays out some of the like requirements or some of the things that are involved. But I wanted to highlight that on the application, it will ask you your preferred start date that you can do. And so there's a July 2024 option, and then there's the January 2025 option. And so we are thinking though, for those that, will start once the process goes through, starts in January, of things that you can still be doing while you're waiting. So it won't be like you're just left in the dust or waiting. We'll still have some supports or things for you to be engaged with. Okay, ahead, Lena.
I was just going to ask, I think somebody asked about the timeline of like, so applications will close and then they'll hear. Yeah.
Yep, I just put it in the chat. I know I kind of said it earlier, but so the applications will close March 18th right now, but possibly may change, but basically the end of March. Then there's selection committees that will be scoring the applications with a scoring rubric that was co-developed by parent leaders the design committee that we had, and then the parent cabinet members just recently gave a lot of input for changes for that scoring rubric. But the key things that will be scored is around, any parent leadership involvement, any parent ambassador involvement, any, community involvement, advocacy around like for your child or navigating systems, numerous things there. And then obviously the makeup is where we're aiming is 60% are those with a child under 5. And then we have this 40% to allow flexibility for maybe parents who have children that are older, but still bring a very valuable experience, especially if they've navigated systems in the past or are navigating other things. So we want to have that so it's a diverse cabinet. So I hope that helps. And then any candidates that will be moving forward to the conversational interview, I don't know the best way to say it, but will be emailed probably by the end of April, early May to set up a time for that. So that's kind of like a brief overview. I hope that helps. Is there any other questions? And feel free, like, if anyone has a question, you can raise your hand, or and no questions are silly questions or anything.
I think one question was around the slides. Are those going to be available?
Yes, yeah, we can have them. I could have them available. We could probably email them out, and I can probably most of it's on the website, but we can like email it out as well. And then the video that Michaela was going to try to play, it's on the website. So the link that I had for the website, you should be able to play it from there.
I just dropped in it as well. Apologies.
Perfect.
Technology.
Perfect. So you'll see Josh is on that video, and then we have 2 other parent cabinet members as well. And then I just saw another question, but
I did have a question. Hi, thank you. So I've never been involved in anything like this, and it sounds really interesting. How would we get involved on like the local level if the cabinet isn't something that ends up working out?
yeah, it's a great and actually I'm going to see, Josh, do you want to speak about that? Because I know you're talking about it.
Yeah, no, not a problem. Thank you so much. And so, Tony, what you can do is, I'm not sure where you're located at as far as what region, but what I would encourage you to do is to, if you have younger children, find out who the school readiness council liaison is. Talk to that individual, that designated individual. If indeed you cannot get a hold of that person, you want to call up the Board of Education for your community. Find out who is actually a part of that body that works for the 0 to 5 specifics. And so this way you can get a little bit more understanding. I know that parent ambassadors right now, they're a little bit like scattered, if you will. Some of the structures right now, we're still working on trying to find out the particulars of that. But if you could just learn the individuals that are in place for your community, because it looks different from region to region, I would encourage you to do so. If indeed you're unable to, you hit a wall, right? There's a blank. Reach out to Shanae or Elena either way, and they can help support you in finding out who those specific designates are. And so they can make that warm handover and connection for you. I hope that answered your question.
Yes, thank you so much.
No problem.
And I will just share, there's also, so the school readiness councils are great because they do have, those councils are supposed to have parents on there. So it's important to have that parent voice a part of those. And then also local early childhood collaboratives that I mentioned. So some communities, they may have both a school readiness and a local early childhood collaborative, but then others may have one or the other because they're not everywhere. So and Elena could probably speak to that, but I just wanted to highlight that local early childhood collaboratives, if they exist where you are, that's a good avenue to get in touch with. Go ahead, Elena.
Yeah, I just posted the link where you can look at all the local early childhood collaboratives, and you can get connected that way too. But they're always wanting to welcome families to the table. So I think that's great. Thank you for that question. This is exactly like what we wanted to have happen, right? Is like how to connect more families, more parents to different opportunities, whether it's the parent cabinet or locally or other things. So
yep. And then someone asked how many applications received in the past. So the first the first time we did this, we had, I think, ended on like 67 or 60 applications, which was, we were blown away as being at the first thing that we didn't really quite know what it would entail or what it was going to fully look like. So yeah, so that's what we got the first go around. So we're excited to see this go around now, kind of having some establishment with the parent cabinet members and knowing a little bit more what this looks like, what we'll get. And I will just say also that one thing is that while we have kind of worked out more of what the parent cabinet looks like, with the parent cabinet members now, we've kind of started creating more things like other documents, handbooks, things that we're developing that, we'll probably look to some of you, if you make it through or as we move forward, of still like ongoingly looking at our process, looking at things, and it maybe ever change, but it'll be informed by the parents. So I just wanted to throw that in. All right. Any other last questions or anything else anyone else wanted to ask?
So we have the OEC parent cabinet email, right? We should put it in the chat. So as you go back and process, right, and think about this, other questions might come up. You're more than welcome to reach out to Shanae and I and email that email too. And thank you so much, Josh and Caitlin and Michaela for helping us, and Eloisa and many others for helping us here. And so appreciate everybody taking the time to be with us on this Friday. And look forward to many more conversations and hopefully lots of great work together. So.
Ooh, sorry. I had one question.
Oh, sure. Yeah, go ahead.
I've been with my 8-month-old this whole time. Can you stop her from doing that for me? Thank you. Of the people who are on the cabinet that spoke, would they be willing to share their emails? Because I have a few other questions that I didn't have an opportunity to ask.
Yeah, sure. I'll drop it in the chat right now, my guy. Congratulations on the new one.
Great. All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you all. We hope you have a great weekend. And yeah, thank you all for being here.
Take care. Bye.